Good morning, everybody. It's week 3. We are the Blitz. We are ready. Got all your start and sit questions lined up, ready to go. Let's do this. We'll see you in 30 seconds. Excellent. Very ready to go today, man. I am pumped up. It's week 3. Stuff is all kind of starting to line up. We're starting to get a little bit of shape into what the heck's going on out there in this crazy fantasy landscape. We're dealing with injuries. We're dealing with all kinds of stuff this week. On my left, I got my man Jeff. Jeff, how are we doing this morning?
Hey, doing great as always on a Sunday morning, Mike. This is probably the best part of my weekend is to spend Sunday morning with you gentlemen. So looking forward to it.
Likewise, man. Likewise. This is one of the things I look forward to during football season is this morning exactly right here. Down below, my man Joe. Joe, how we doing, my man?
Take me off mute. Ready to go, week 3. Just looking at some injury stuff now. I didn't realize last night Jalen Waddle got deemed out, so no Waddle for Miami today.
Yeah, Waddle being out, that's going to open up a few opportunities for possibly, like, say, Braxton Berrios, who's been, they said he really stepped it up this week at practice, had a good week. That is going to be kind of crucial to have that guy involved. What's that?
They got that other guy too, right? Craycraft or something like that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Craycraft. That's the guy's name. Yep. Nope. And they got him too. So look for those guys to have some additional opportunities on there. Right now, it's the Blitz, guys. We got all your start sit fantasy advice going on. Joe, you want to go ahead and lead us off with the what kind of injuries are we looking at today? We got a few guys out for the season. We got a few. Man, we got everything going on.
Yeah, we do. There's a lot of quarterback injuries. There's some quarterback injuries this week too. I think leading that, Anthony Richardson for the Colts won't play. We got Gardner Minshew starting, and Carolina, Bryce Young won't play. You got Andrew Dalton starting. I think that covers it for QBs, obviously, other than Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, we know Zach Wilson's there. The big running back news of the week, obviously, was the Nick Chubb injury. And with that being said, we have Jerome Ford, who will be slated in, obviously a big DFS play that we talked about a lot last night. So I feel redundant, but I know it's a different context today. But Jerome Ford obviously getting the start for Cleveland with Kareem Hunt backing him up. What else do we got for Austin Eckler out again? So once again, we got Kelly, who hopefully will bounce back after an abysmal week last week. Aaron Jones is questionable. David Montgomery is doubtful. We haven't talked about that one yet. So, Jahmyr Gibbs and Craig Reynolds look like they'll be locking down the running game for Detroit today against Atlanta. And then one other one too, Jamal Williams is on IR for the Saints. So we don't really know who's going to get the carries there. It's Tony Jones, I think, or they got a 3rd-round pick, Miller. And another one, too, Isaiah Pacheco is also questionable, but it is now being reported that he's going to suit up. Justice Hill is out, so another relevant one. Gus Edwards, who had a decent game last week, should have even more touches this week. That's worth mentioning. Amon-Ra Noodle St. Brown is questionable, but it looks like he is going to suit up. We just talked about Jalen Waddle. DK Metcalf questionable. Looks like he will suit up. DeAndre Hopkins questionable. Looks like he will suit up. Christian Watson looks like he may make his debut. That one's still a little iffy on if Christian Watson will make his debut, although I did see some guys in some of my leagues grabbing him this morning, but Romeo Doubs has been locking it down there. I think that's a good start. I'll chime in if anything else happens, but yeah, there's a week 3. That's the first week where that took a couple minutes. So you're in the thick of it now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit too early for this kind of nonsense, but here we are. And just a friendly reminder to make sure you guys start Nick Chubb today, just out of respect. Damn it. Start Nick Chubb out of respect. We got Jamie M says should be Miller. Love it. So let's get this going right here, guys. We're going to go ahead and start getting into the questions. It sounds like Christian Watson is still questionable. Yeah, that's what we had just said right there. We were thinking that that he's probably likely not going to play as in fact. But even if he does, it's going to be in a limited role. We got our man from Ukraine. What's happening, my man? Trans-Siberian says, "Don't worry, I won't bring up Zay Jones and his 0 points." Jeff had Reynolds 16 points in case the other two forgot. Need a flex and 2 wide receivers among these 5 turns. He's got standard Jacoby Myers, Reynolds, Garrett Wilson, Atwell, and Ford. I'm going to go ahead and let you lead this off, Jeff, since you're the one who did not steer him wrong.
So let's see here. Those are some interesting choices. First of all, I would say from a flex standpoint, I like Ford. We discussed him last night. I know that Kareem Hunt is back there, but he's not going to be integrated into the offense, immediately as much as Kareem Hunt has been in the past. So I like Ford flex wise. From 2 wide receivers, I gotta stick with Garrett Wilson on one. He's just the go-to guy there for the Jets. And then for the other one, geez, I tell you, I'm on the fence. I'm not a huge fan of Jacoby Myers. I assume Reynolds is Josh Reynolds again. I do like Josh Reynolds. I'll go Josh Reynolds because he's at home, and we know that Jared Goff is a different guy at home. That's if he's healthy, Joe. I don't know if Josh Reynolds is on that list or if he's
Reynolds
listed
is
as
good.
question.
I'm actually looking at Myers because Myers didn't play. Oh, actually, no, Reynolds isn't good. So Reynolds is questionable too. No, he's considered good to go. But Jacoby Myers missed last week, and I know he's questionable for this week. I'm just trying to get an updated status on him. I think he's going to play, but I want to make sure on Myers. I think, Myers had a big week 1 for the Raiders. I kind of like the idea of Myers as long as he's healthy. I don't know why I can't. Oh, he's a Monday night. Is he Monday night this week?
They are the 8:20 game tonight.
Sunday night game. Yep,
Sunday night game. Okay. I think I would go Garrett Wilson with Myers here if Myers is good to go to play. I think Reynolds is, if he's going to play, which he is, I'm okay with Reynolds too, but I would stick with Garrett Wilson and Myers, and then I would go Ford on flex for sure.
Flex and Ford, I like that as well.
Flex and Ford.
Yep, I do like that. And this guy was definitely in my DMs mentioning the Reynolds play or the Reynolds call last week. So much love. I'm glad you showed back up this week, my man. I'm glad you're still here. So I'm going to actually agree with both. I think both of you guys said Myers, Reynolds, and Wilson here. Or I'm sorry, Reynolds, Myers, and Ford here. And I think I'm in that. I don't know.
No.
No.
Time out. I went Wilson, Myers, and Ford. Jeff, you went Reynolds, Wilson, and Ford, right?
There you go.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I'm going to go completely blank on you. I'm going to say Myers if he plays, Reynolds, and Ford. But if Myers
you're sitting Garrett
play,
Wilson, Mikey, is what you're saying.
What's that?
You're sitting Garrett Wilson in this one.
I am.
Okay.
The reason being is because I don't like Zach Wilson. I love Garrett Wilson. I feel like he lucked into a touchdown last week. Or the week before, was it? Yeah, I mean, it's just he's just not getting the consistency that I need. It's just because his quarterback is trash. I really can't believe that Teddy Bridgewater isn't in New York right now, or one of these serviceable guys that could, like even Carson Wentz, I feel like would be better than Zach Wilson. So do with that what you can there, Trans-Siberian, and hopefully you do hit me up today and say that I was right this time.
Keep us honest next week.
Jamie M says, how many of you guys are starting Gibbs and DFS today? I like the Gibbs call today. I do. I really think Gibbs, he should get used, which means he probably won't get used on that offense. What about you, Joe? What do you think?
It makes a lot of sense. Obviously, with Montgomery out, it gives Gibbs a real nice chance to get in the end zone, where I feel like that's his issue with Montgomery there, is getting in the end zone. My only DFS issue with Gibbs is he's 6,600. So it's not like with Jerome Ford, 4,800 on DraftKings, you're getting a guy who's starting, going to get Gibbs at 6,600 on DraftKings. That's still an above average salary. So you're not saving with him, but at the same time, it's a good play, obviously. I mean, he's going to get more touches than normal, and he'll probably get a couple cracks at the end zone, which he wouldn't normally get.
Agreed on that one. And I'm looking at it on FanDuel. Joe gives the DraftKings up. FanDuel-wise, he's 7,000. And just looking down a little bit there, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's going to be viable. The Atlanta rushing defense is better than their passing defense, so that might not necessarily be the best matchup, but if you look 400 down, 6,600 is Raheem Mostert at home versus Denver. I don't know how you steer for 400 less. I think that guy's going to have a monster week and be the go-to guy. So as far as DFS,
in DraftKings too, Kenneth Walker's 400 and Mostert 600 cheaper than Gibbs. So I just feel like I get the spirit of Gibbs, and I would give him a crack somewhere DFS-wise. Do the single game contest and put him in the captain spot right there. There you go. But I just feel like his salary's already caught up with him a little bit. But,
yeah, they got ahead of it. It seems like it's kind of crazy how they evaluate players or value players, I guess, because he just doesn't seem to me worth that 7,000 price tag yet. When we're talking about other guys that we're getting for 6,900 that are, in my opinion, way more viable, way better. He also said, watched our show a while back with MKB Fantasy, a lot of knowledge and insight. Hey, we appreciate that, man. Make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you're telling your friends about us as well. Over under 36 games and lots of rain. Another reason to back out on Wilson, because Wilson, he's not a good quarterback when the weather's great. So, you want to
That's low to take the under at 36, but I don't know, maybe you tease it up and take it. Even in the rain, 36 feels low, but those are not two great offenses right now. So they are two very good defenses.
I think the under is still probably
looking 17-13, something like that.
And that'll be if they score at the higher tier, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We got Blake Boravet says Pacheco or Javonte Williams non-PPR for running back 2 spot. Jeff, take it over. What do you got?
I just like Javonte Williams, period. Not that I don't like Pacheco, and I think he's a good option in Kansas City, but Javonte Williams is seemingly the standout guy in Denver. They're going to be in Miami. I just think he's going to have more opportunity. Mahomes, any running back in Kansas City just never really has those monster games or has that potential high ceiling where Javonte Williams, I think, has that potential high ceiling. So I'd go Williams.
Absolutely, same here. I think Javonte Williams is the play. Nothing against the Pacheco. I do feel like he's great. He's talented. He does, but I can't trust the Kansas City running back. Kansas City running backs they're like the New England Patriot running backs for sure. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you guys on this one because of the matchup probably more than anything. And I agree with you in general with Chief running backs, but Javonte Williams hasn't been great fantasy-wise so far. They're at Miami. They go down early. Sean Payton's going to abandon the run game as he always does. And so I don't know if Williams is going to get a lot of opportunity. But the Chiefs, on the other hand, are home against the Bears. So that game should be 31-10 going into the fourth quarter, maybe the third quarter. And that is like for Pacheco, if not this week, then I don't think there's really any fantasy value there for the year. Home against the Bears, the game script should call for a lot of Pacheco for the Chiefs this week. If not this week, never for him. So I'd rock out the Chief running back, and I would go Pacheco in this one. And then the other part of it is who's going to score more points today, the Chiefs or Denver? And I think it's the Chiefs. So I'll give Pacheco a ride this week.
I don't mind it. That's good, solid logic. There is also Pacheco having the hammy injury going in there as well.
That's true too. That's a fair point. He's just got to be healthy.
Right. Jamie M said he's on Yahoo. He's $20, so he's worth it for me. We're talking about Gibbs there. Definitely, if you can get him at a value play for sure. It's just on the DFS sites we're typically using and things like that. They've already got ahead of him for some reason. Like I said, to me, that's
what are his prop bet
versus results.
Maybe you go with the prop bet. I don't know what his yardage is on props or anytime touchdown scorer. This might be the week to ride him out on there.
Absolutely, because he might have a really low over and under. We'll definitely
check out underdog. Check out underdog. Definitely.
There you go.
Yeah, and then make sure if you're there for the first time, make sure you're putting triple in your account thing.
Bam. Look at this.
Deposit up to $100. Right
a perfectly unplanned segue plugs. That was phenomenal.
That's what we do here. Now let's go ahead and get into a couple of the other questions. These ones are from Twitter. They're from our man David Mendy. He posts up a thread and he gets them out there. And so we wanted to talk about a few of these right here. He says Jay Wonderbread said he needs 2, and I don't know how that HTTP got in there, but we got Ford, we got Kelly, we got Nakua. Jeff, who do you got? Who we sit?
So, geez. I like these choices. I have to say, you cannot. I don't care if it's a PPR or a standard. Nakua just seems to be just the freaking guy all of a sudden there. in Los Angeles for. He's pretty much making up for Cooper Kupp being out. So I think Nacua is a must between Ford and Kelly. We talked about this last night. The Chargers Vikings over-under is the highest of the week. I think Kelly, who didn't do all that well last week, but he's still the go-to guy there, so I think he bounces back. Even though we've been high on Ford and given reasons as to why, but I think Kelly's going to be a little bit better, and then Nacua is just the guy you cannot get away from, period.
Yeah, I honestly feel the same way with Nacua. For me, I can't sit him, so I'm playing him. And so it becomes Kelly and Ford, which typically I would answer Kelly and Ford here because I do love the running back situation. But I think Kelly has a big bounce back week. I think Ford's in a little bit of a tougher situation there. Give me Kelly and Nacua. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, you can't not play Nacua, even though in a way I don't want to here, but 25 catches in 2 weeks, you have to, and now they're playing a Bengals team this week who's not necessarily great. One of those games was against the 49ers already. So, yeah, and then we've had this conversation so many times with Ford and Kelly in the last 24 hours. And I've been going Ford like on the DFS slate, but I think I'm with you guys. I think the nature of that Minnesota Charger game, you got to go Kelly and Nacua.
Yep, I'm getting every single person I can possibly in that situation right there. Let's go. Oh, he says the most props are 50 yards on him. He just signed up on Underdog this morning. That's awesome, man. I hopefully you use your promo code and you were able to get that deposit.
I'll take that bet. I'll make that bet today on DraftKings probably if it's 50 yards for Gibbs.
Doing that on Underdog
no Montgomery. I know they got that Craig Reynolds guy behind Gibbs, but you got to believe Gibbs is going to get a good solid 12 to 15 carries. Maybe you do the prop that's the rushing and receiving combined because I know he's good.
That's what I was going to say. If this is 50 yards over for receiving and rushing combined, then I'm smashing it. And I think that'll be a very safe bet today. But again, like I said, man, talking about a team that is notorious for playing the wrong running back, and it ends up costing them a lot of games as a direct result of it. Next one up, we got. Okay, now this one's a special one. It's got an asterisk. This is my man. He says he needs 3 in PPR: Addison, Chase, Gibbs, Cook, Kelly, or Olave. We need 3. Wow. Joe, go ahead and take this one over. I know it's a lot to stomach, but this man is at his wedding right now, and he needs to know this, and he needs to sneak this information in. So we're going to give him his answer, and I'm going to make sure we type it on Twitter so we can check it because he might be saying his vows right this second.
Congratulations and rest in peace. I would start, I'm on my second one, so I know. Well, you got to play Jamar Chase, right? I mean, I guess, well, let's say this. If Joe Burrow plays, you got to play Jamar Chase. If Joe Burrow doesn't play, I mean, there's some really legit other choices here. You got to go Gibbs today in this case. So Gibbs is for sure. That's the first thing. Man, James Cook was really good last week. And I mean, they're playing Washington this week. Oh my gosh. Addison. I like Addison too. All right. I'm going Chase, Gibbs. Oof, this is really hard. Chase, Gibbs, and Kelly. Mike?
I don't mind that a bit.
I don't know. It's hard. This is a tough one.
It is a really tough one. I have the benefit of actually being able to read these about 2 hours before you guys. So I've been thinking on this one for a while. And I feel like Chase, I've got too many question marks about that Monday Night Football game. I don't like the fact that that Burrow might not be in there. It's just too late. I'm going to go with Addison. I'm going to go with Kelly. And I'm going to go with Olave because Olave has been very productive on that offense. He's been gelling very well with Derek Carr. So for me, I'm getting all the pieces. Like I said, that Chargers-Minnesota game should be electric. I'm getting every piece I possibly can in that one. So that's why the Addison and Kelly, and I just really like Olave this week. Jeff, what do you think?
Man, this is an interesting one. I'll throw a wrench in the works a little bit and use. Well, I'll piggyback off of what you just said, Mike, for that Minnesota Chargers game. For that reason, I got to go Kelly. And then we talked about Addison big time last night. Jefferson has been getting obviously a ton of targets, a ton of receptions, and a lot of yardage, but he has not gotten the end zone yet. Addison seems to be kind of the guy who's getting that red zone attention. I believe he's got 3 touchdowns already I don't see him slowing down because Jefferson's going to keep commanding attention. So I'll say Addison, say Kelly. And out of all this, I get it that Burrow might not be 100%, but I don't know how you get away from Jamar Chase. To not start Jamar Chase is to me is almost blasphemy. So I'm going to have to go Chase too.
And it is really, you drafted him in the first round. You're gonna want to play this guy in more cases than not. It's just that team's had a really slow start, and you've got a really good team. So that's why it's hard for me to play Chase in this situation because God, we got to get a win no matter what or where we drafted this guy. That team is looking like now. Will that team turn it around? Absolutely. Are you trading out Chase? Absolutely not. You're not going to be getting the premium value that he deserves anyways right now. So you're going to hold on to him. But with the matchups that you have in there, man, those matchups are just too positive for me to walk away from those. So any one of those combos, and you said Gibbs, and you said
the Kelly's the one guy we all said. So we all said Kelly. Jeff and I said Chase. You and Jeff said Addison, and then after that, so I feel like the answer we gave really is Kelly, Chase, and Addison is the most consistent answer that the three of us gave.
And that's what I put down on the thing. It said actually I put Addison and Kelly. So because you got to play Kelly, man.
Yeah, Kelly, Chase, and Addison. Yeah. But you went Olave, I went Gibbs. But yeah.
If this is the situation that he's in here with, those are some great options. I don't think you can really go wrong with those options. I don't think anybody's going to really have a flop.
Yeah, no, you've got yourself a really, really good, solid team right there. Great drafting right there. We got our man, Ilias Giftopoulos. He says pick 2 full PPR. Chase, Olave, Kieran Williams. Jeff, lead us off.
So let's see. Well, that's a nice. What was it? Gestapo. That's a nice Irish name, I believe. Probably. Anyways, good to see you checking in here, bud. So first of all, I would say one that's a must is Kyron Williams. He's the go-to guy. He's filled in nicely since Akers has been gone. I don't see him slowing down against Cincinnati. So that's number one. And I'll stick to what I just said, given this similar scenario. Olave is a great player. You can't get away from Chase just because he's Jamar Chase. So
I actually kind of agree with that, Joe. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess I'm not a huge Olave guy, I guess, because I mean he's been better than Chase so far, but I gravitate towards Williams and Chase if Burrow's playing. In this scenario, if there's no Burrow, I would go Olave, and he's lucky because Olave happens to be Monday night too, so you could actually wait on that one. Actually, all three of those guys are Monday night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
New Orleans. The Rams are Monday night. New Orleans is this afternoon. So
okay, I gotcha. So that's a tough one there because he's got to make the Olave decision today and is not going to get the benefit of knowing about Burrow. So that's. I feel like the conservative approach is Olave Williams, but you take a chance on Chase with Burrow. That's probably got the largest upside. And I do like Kyron Williams. I mean, guy's been pretty good with Akers there, and now he doesn't have Akers in his way.
Yeah, he has no other competition out there. I like Kyron Williams a lot. And again, I'm going Olave. I want to go with the sure thing this week. To me, Jamar Chase, you're going to have to prove your way back onto my lineup. That team's going to have to pick it up. And again, man, I mean, it's hard to even say that because, man, I'm a huge Jamar Chase truther. And so, but on this one, man, I got to say I really like Olave and what he's been doing out there. So going on to the next one here, we got our guy. This one's also off Twitter. He says, Mr. D, full PPR, flex Christian Kirk or Javonte. Christian Watson also an option if he goes. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't like Javonte. Javonte, we're talking running back Javonte Williams, is it right? Is that what we're talking about there? I just don't love the matchup for him at Miami. I don't think that game script is going to lend itself to him having a big game, and he hasn't been that great the first 2 weeks anyways. Christian Kirk, I want to say Christian Kirk. He's had an interesting season so far for them. If Christian Watson really got on the field and they said he's going to play with no restrictions, I wouldn't be against that either. But I will say this. I mean, Kirk went for 11 and 110 last week on 14 targets. And Zay Jones is out this week, correct?
Correct, yes.
So I do think, you know what, I'm going to go Christian Kirk here.
What do you say, Jeff?
Yeah, even though we always talk about the tie goes to the running back. In this situation, I know that Jacksonville kind of had a stinker last week, but Kirk's numbers were actually good against Kansas City. Now they're going up at home against Houston as a 2-score favorite. I like Jacksonville to put up a good amount of points, and I like Kirk against Houston. So I'd say, yeah, if we're doing one, especially in PPR, if this was standard, it might be a little bit different. I might swing Javonte, but I'll go Christian Kirk too.
Okay, well, both of you guys are going Christian Kirk. I'm going Javonte because I like the volume that he'll possibly see here, taking over that running back. I just haven't liked a lot of what I've seen out of Christian Kirk, although he is picking it up a little bit, and he is actually, to be fair, doing a lot better than I was giving him credit for at the beginning of the season. So let's go with Christian Kirk. That's your consensus guy right there. We got our man for Fantasy FB only says, half PPR, can only start one. Garrett Wilson, Tyler Lockett, Jerry Jeudy. Jeff, who you picking right here?
Oof. I like this one. And as much as I want to say Garrett Wilson, because I was going to stick to my guns as far as that's concerned, I can't say Jerry Jeudy. Sorry, Mikey. Anybody on Denver these days is just not a safe pick. We all know one of my boys, Tyler Lockett. I love Lockett. He's the guy. I mean, he's home, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, he's home against Carolina. So I like Lockett, especially if DK Metcalf is questionable. But regardless, Lockett's going to get a good amount of targets, and I like to see him seeing a lot of action, getting in the end zone at least once. So I go Lockett.
DK Metcalf is slated to play today, but I do also like Lockett.
Regardless.
Yeah, regardless. But I really like Jerry Jeudy, but I think I like Cortland Sutton on that offense a little bit more. Tyler Lockett for me too. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I echo everything you guys said. I'm with you.
Yo, you're with us too. Tyler Lockett all the way down the board. We like it. Okay, Tyler Lockett, get him in your lineup. It's crazy. We still talk about that guy, and he's just been amazing. At Brickman 914, he says Fields or Lawrence, 0.75 point first downs, and Kendre Miller or Dotson, half PPR, half first downs. Thanks.
That's a different one. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, you don't. I'll go ahead and let you lead this one off. Let's go ahead and go one by one here. Fields or Lawrence there, Joe?
Well, I'm gonna go Fields here because Lawrence, the game script for the Jags, if Etienne gets a couple rushing touchdowns in the first half or the second half, they may not have to throw a lot. So Lawrence might not have to do a ton here for them to get that win home against Houston today. Fields, obviously, at Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to win that game probably pretty easily. But I do believe by the end of it, Fields is going to have some fantasy stats. We obviously know the week that he had, everything that he said, didn't say, came back. But I think we're going to see him run more today. I think he's going to be a little more aggressive than he's been those first 2 weeks. So I think you're going to see some trash fantasy points from Fields in the second half. That should get him over 20. And I just don't trust the game script for Jacksonville and Lawrence. So I'm going Fields there.
Yeah, I like Fields a lot this week. I think, like I said, especially with all the controversy that he had going on with this week and everything, I think we're going to see that kind of come to a little bit of a head as far as everything goes if he doesn't go out there and be able to prove himself after talking trash on the coaching staff and everything like that. So hopefully we see him turning around on that one. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, and you and I were discussing a little bit about this because I had a question about Fields from a friend of mine before we jumped on the show here. And I'll agree, Fields, especially because he called out the Bears coaching staff a little bit. He has not put up the numbers we expected, but he had a slow start to last season. I expect him to bounce back, and his upside is just so huge with his legs. It's too big to get away from. So I like Fields over Lawrence, especially with the first down, extra little kind of bonus there. So, and then I actually like, and if we got into wide receivers, but I actually like Dotson this week a decent amount. I think he'll get some attention. I know he hasn't, done a whole lot the first 2 weeks, but I like Dotson against the Bills today.
I don't mind that a bit. I was going to go with Fields as well, just because I like the opportunity that he has. Again, the trash talk and everything like that. And I really like Kendre Miller, but I think Dotson does have himself a game today. He's the reason, or he'll remind you why you drafted him. Joe, what about Kendre Miller or Johan Dotson?
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and I know there's some potential there for Miller in New Orleans. But, I mean, Tony Jones had 2 touchdowns last week. He excelled in the short yardage situation. So I just don't know if Miller is going to really have a chance to sniff the end zone. And then I don't know if he's going to get enough touches to be relevant if he's not going to sniff the end zone. So I'm not a huge Dotson guy, but I would go Dotson here. They're playing the Bills. They're going to have to throw to win the game, which they probably won't do. But, he could be ripe for a nice fourth quarter trash touchdown.
Love it. And the Bills will probably, hopefully, destroy them. We got my man, Mr. Josh, says Nico Collins or Gabe Davis. Jeff, I'm going to let you lead this off because I know who you love here.
Come on, man. Come on. I've been saying it now for 3 weeks. Nico Collins, that's my boy, dude. So let me tell you something. He's got 20 targets and 13 receptions in the first 2 weeks. He's obviously the go-to guy, a ton of attention. Gabe Davis is maybe the second sort of option over there in Buffalo. So to me, it's a no-brainer, especially when you look at what happened with FanDuel this past week. We talked about it last night. Nico Collins last week was 5,900. This week he jumped to 6,900. That tells you something. FanDuel knows what they're talking about. Nico Collins is getting the attention. That's my guy.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I love Josh Allen more than anything, and Gabe Davis is one of his favorite targets outside of Stephon Diggs, although I think this is going to be a big Stephon Diggs day. Give me Nico Collins for that reason, plus that Nico Collins has been the wide receiver 1 on that team, tearing it up. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Nico here. Gabe, I would love to see Davis have another good week and start to gain some sort of consistency, but Gabe Davis is as inconsistent as they come from a fantasy perspective. So, and Nico right now is the pillar of consistency there in Houston. So, Nico.
Absolutely. And we got Jamie M says pick up Stafford on benching Fields today. Doesn't think he's going to live up to the hype. What do you guys think of that? Would you put Stafford there or would you play Fields?
I mean, a bad Fields day, if he's got 60 rushing yards, you can't pass up the fact that he's scoring 2 different ways and Stafford's only scoring 1 way.
That's how I feel about that too. That's why I got to get Fields in there.
And believe me, we get the frustration with Fields for anybody, especially before the season started. I was kind of the guy who was saying that Fields is going to be the number 1 fantasy quarterback, and he still could be the case because, like I said, he started off slow last year and turned into just 300 plus more yards on the ground than any other quarterback. So I get the frustration, but Joe made a good point. Just if you got Fields getting in there for 70 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and then maybe 150 yards throwing, that's going to fetch you more points than Stafford most likely. So just the upside to him, but we certainly get the frustration over the first couple weeks.
Absolutely. Yep. Nope. It's been tough. And like I said, and then he came out there and said everything that he said. So he's got to put his money where his mouth is, or else he might be seeing himself sitting on the bench before too long. Transiberian says, add underdog to the list of gambling sites not available outside of the USA. And he said, can anybody tell me why nobody liked Atwell there? And also Dr. Pepper in the house. That's right, because I love to tease you. It's funny because I almost can't open up a Dr. Pepper now without thinking of the Ukraine. I'm not even kidding you. I'm just like, man, because you can't get that over there. And that really sucks. It's probably why everybody's fighting. Is because nobody's passing out cases of Dr. Pepper there. I think I might have just solved the problem.
And weed's still illegal there, right?
Right. No weed, no Dr. Pepper. Jeff, is there any particular reason you're low on Atwell in his situation?
I don't. Well, first of all, by the way, if Dr. Pepper is not legal, Joe, it's going to be doubtful that weed is, but that's here nor there. So it's not that I'm down on Atwell. I just think, and I'm forgetting the other options that were put up there at that time. I think Atwell. Yeah, there we go. Atwell certainly is a good option when we're talking about the other ones that you got there. I just think that there are a couple better options. Atwell certainly is probably going to have a good amount. We've seen Nakua there or Pakua or whatever the hell his name is. Anyways, He'd just kind of be the main target. So, and a couple of those other guys are the main targets. So I'm not down on him, just higher on the other guys.
That's exactly what I was going to say there. I do love me some Tutu Atwell. I just feel like we're talking about standard. I feel like Jacoby Myers and Reynolds are going to be guys that get in the end zone for you. I just don't see Atwell because I feel like it's going to be a Puka touchdown week because the guy's just solid, man. And I can only get behind one guy on that offense in this matchup, and I think it's Puka Nacua for me. What do you think there, Joe? Are you low on Atwell?
I mean, he's got 13 receptions in 2 weeks, so he's certainly getting some run there. But yeah, he hasn't sniffed the end zone yet. And even Garrett Wilson, I think, has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Atwell this week. So I think just the other options. You know what? Atwell looks like that's a great, I think he's like $3,600 on DraftKings or something like that, 3,800. That feels like a great play there because even if you get 5 for 50 from him with that price, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely worth it. He's going to be filling up a hole right there that you necessarily wouldn't need or wouldn't get otherwise on a higher pick. We got
this one Swift all the way, right? I
mean, hands down, I love DeAndre Swift. I think he proved what he can do last week. I do think DJ Moore, oh, man, I do like that. And Tony Jones I do like, but Swift by quite a bit here. What do you think, Jeff?
So I'd say Swift, not necessarily as wide of a margin maybe, just because Gainwell is back, I believe. And when he's there, he gets a little bit more attention or a decent amount of attention. Obviously, Swift to me is the more talented back, but it's just weird how Philly game plans sometimes on offense and really relies on Gainwell when the guy is in there. They love that guy. So, and DJ Moore is the go-to guy. Justin Fields has something to prove. I'll still say Swift. I just don't think it's a huge wide margin.
That's a fair point with Gainwell back. Swift had he was irrelevant week 1 with Gainwell there, then was phenomenal week 2 without Gainwell. I think it's going to meet in the middle now, but I still do believe it's 10 to 15 touches for Swift with his explosiveness and everything. DJ Moore, probably a trash touchdown in the I've said it a few times, but it's another right. They're going to be down 31-10 going in the fourth quarter against KC, and Fields is going to throw the light, and Moore probably catches. Probably does end up with a decent day too, just because of the way the game's going to play out there. But I think I got to go Swift after seeing what he did last week.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit too swift on the answer there, but it's still Swift for me at the end of it all. We got Mr. Josh. He says, all right, the last 2 questions. James Conner, Pierce, Javonte, Algar. Pick 2. Joe, go ahead.
Well, James Conner. And I'm not even a big James Conner guy necessarily. I have him more this year than I've ever had him from a league perspective, but he does just seem to get it done there, and he's very good in the red zone and getting the touchdown. So I do believe you got to go James Conner there. Pierce probably has the next best shot for a big game, but I feel like I know you guys are going to say, I know Mikey's going to say Javonte here. I guess in this situation, I'm going to go Connor and Javonte. And then, DJ Moore or Jordan Addison. That's a really tough one. I guess I'll go DJ Moore there by a pubic hair.
Oh. What do you think, Jeff? I was not ready for that.
So, all right, I'll go Jordan Addison by way more than a pubic hair, by the way. So, just because of the logic that we used before with
hold on, time out though. You just almost took Moore over Swift.
You're right.
Now you're going to say Addison by a landslide over Moore. So would you? In a league, you would start Addison over Swift today.
I probably would, yes, just because of the matchup there, because of the attention that he's gotten, especially in the red zone.
I hope he's tracking this. And Trans-Siberian next Sunday at 10:30. This is the first result I want right here.
I feel like Ron Swanson in that. You ever watch Parks and Rec? Anyway, there's a scene where he says, "I'll take all the bacon and eggs that you have." And the guy starts walking in the back, and he goes, "No, I think what you heard is that I want a lot of bacon and eggs, but I'll take all the bacon and eggs you have." Insert the Chargers-Vikings game in that for me. I will take all the Chargers and Vikings that you have, all of them that I can actually get out there. Granted, there's going to be like 10 of them I don't want. I don't want your bench starters and stuff like that. Come on now. But within realistic expectations. So for me, it's Connor, it's Javonte, and it's Addison. And Addison to Moore isn't really even that close to me. It's pretty far apart from me as well, too. Like like a Gene Simmons tongue away. If that's it, since we're comparing hairs to tongues or whatever we're doing right there. Mr. Josh says, okay, I lied. This is actually the last question. Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin, or
Mostert.
Tough one to have right there.
That's Mostert.
I don't think it's tough at all. I honestly believe it's Mostert, and it's not even close.
So the only reason it's a little close for me is because Brian Robinson is the number 3 running back on the season right now. The guy's been having a legendary year underneath everybody's noses, and he hasn't really gotten the credit that he deserves out there. And he has himself a positive matchup today. So for me, it's Mostert, but it's not as close as. I mean, I definitely like Mostert a little bit more just because I feel like they're going to be killing clock against my poor Broncos. Probably by the halfway through the second quarter, for being honest, they'll probably shift to the running game because Denver just isn't Denver anymore. And Russell Wilson has been flashing a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be anything that can keep up with that team. But Brian Robinson, like I said, he's been pretty sneaky.
He has been very good. You're right. He's been better than I even really. But I would still go Mostert. But yeah, Robinson's a good start too.
I just simply don't like anybody at Washington. I don't know why. It's one of those things where Washington has just been so inconsistent in the past. I can't get on board with Washington, period.
It sucks because I was on the Howell bandwagon pretty tough at the beginning of the season. And yikes, that has not worked out very well for this fella, I tell you. Now, to be fair, I didn't draft him in a lot of places either. I was kind of mid. This year I had a strategy where I was going in the middle for quarterbacks, and so far it's working out pretty good, or it's seeming to work out.
This is interesting here.
We got my man Zach Meta Wattage says half-point PPR league. And I have to choose between P. Ryan, Dalvin Cook, or Kendre Miller. Thoughts? Joe, what do you think?
P. Ryan's not starting, right?
No, Javonte's the starter.
Right, yeah. Dalvin Cook's been interesting so far this year. Like you would expect, especially now without Aaron Rodgers, that Cook would have had more relevant 2 weeks. I know they've played some decent teams so far. And it's another tough matchup for him today against the Patriots. I guess in this situation, I'd take the shot with Miller. And with Cook as a runner-up, Perrine, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to be a candidate for enough touches, although he gets sneaky touchdowns and he does make sneaky plays. But I think I'd take a shot with Miller here. If Cook had a better matchup, I'd go Cook. But I'm going to take the shot with Miller here. Cook as a runner-up. This is tough, though.
I don't mind that. What do you think there, Jeff?
It is tough, and I'm honestly not considering Miller. I have no logic behind that besides the fact that the 2 other guys are running backs, and they are guys who can catch out of the backfield. Now, I'm actually leaning P. Ryan just because they are playing Miami. I can see him getting, a few targets out of the backfield and some touches.
He's like their third down back.
I mean, he hasn't been all that great. I don't think he's gotten in the end zone so far this year. That doesn't mean he can't this week, especially if you got to be playing catch up against the Dolphins. And Dalvin Cook has just been an enormous disappointment, it seems to me. So
P. Ryan had 1 rush last week, and then 3 catches for 20 yards, 4 catches for 37. He had a better week 1, 8 for 41 rushing. That's a tough one.
Cook scored negative last week. Of course, that was versus Dallas, but he scored negative.
Well, the Patriots are a good defense, though, too. I mean, even Miami had a hard time with the Patriots last week offensively.
True.
Dallas.
So I'm going P. Ryan.
Let me ask you real quick, or Mikey, go first, and then I got a question, but go.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't actually mind the P. Ryan call. I would actually kind of probably go Kendre Miller here, just for the simple fact that I do like what he's been doing on that offense. Been getting more and more involved. I think we're going to see him put it in the end zone today. I just don't really like the other 2 options there. What you got there, Joe?
Yeah, and I meant to bring this up from a DFF's perspective last night, and then his name just didn't come up. But so we're talking about Dalvin Cook here. Breece Hall had the big week 1 against Buffalo. He had it felt like he averaged 30 yards a touch, whether it was a rush or a pass. He did absolutely nothing last week against the Cowboys. Didn't get a lot of opportunity either. They've talked about he's been on a pitch count so far, as the year goes on. So now week 3, how do we feel about Breece Hall this week?
That's a tough call. I mean, I like him. I mean, obviously he had a tough tough game versus Dallas, as we just discussed what Dalvin Cook did as well. And the Patriots defense isn't necessarily as good as Dallas, but it's close. But I still like Breece Hall to get maybe he might get in the end zone once perhaps and get about 60 yards. I can see that happening. I don't know what you think, Mike.
I think you're looking at about 40 to 60. Same here is kind of what my prospect was for him today. That's total yardage, not rushing, because he's going to be a little bit more limited as far as how he gets into the game. And I just don't think this team's going to be in situations where they're going to be running the ball a lot because they're going to be playing from behind. I mean, Zach Wilson is dreadful, and I just don't see him turning that around anytime soon. So while I like Breece Hall and I wish that they could run more, I just don't think that they're going to be in situations where they do run more. He's great out of the backfield as a pass catching back. So hopefully we see him a little bit more involved in that, getting more and more closer. But with Dalvin Cook there, it kind of muddies the water. So I don't really like either one of these guys. With Zach Wilson as a quarterback. Hopefully this is the week that they realize that enough is enough and they're going to have to make a move there. Big shout out right here. We got Dynasty Answers by Tyler FF Creator, who's a good buddy of mine. He says, proud of anyone doing a Sunday morning stream, keep crushing it. Well, thank you for stopping by, man. I really appreciate you.
Our wives hate us right now so much.
Absolutely. but that's okay. I mean, they were going to hate me anyways. It's Sunday, true. Right? Like it's just like watching football a few hours earlier is all it is. And actually, I can't really say that because my lady's awesome and she watches football with me, and I love every second of it and her, and it's awesome. So, and she's like due any minute now, just so you know. There's going to be maybe a time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, in the middle of the show where I'm like, oh, guys, I got to go.
That is phenomenal, dude.
Heck yeah, no, we're getting pretty excited over here. We got Asher Wolfenson says starting lineup this week, 10-man PPR, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex. We got Tua, Josh Jacobs, Ramondre, Ridley, Amon-Ra, Godwin, Goddard, Drake London. What's your prediction for my team this week? You know, Goddard, so everybody on here, I like Amon-Ra. If he's out there, I'm playing him. I love Josh Jacobs this week. I love Ramondre. I really like this team. The 2 question marks I have are right there at the tail end. We got Goddard and Drake London. Goddard, to me, I feel like has been too quiet. I think he gets a touchdown today. I'm going right here and saying it. I think Goddard, or not today, tomorrow. I think Goddard gets a touchdown this week. Drake London, I would try to hopefully sub him out somewhere because I feel like it's going to be a Kyle Pitts day. What do you think here, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll kind of agree with the sentiments there. I'd be curious as to know who's on your bench, who you can start instead of Drake London. The Atlanta passing game just has not been, or it has not been anything really from what I could tell. So, I mean, you got Bijan Robinson there. You got Tyler Algier, they both have been commanding a lot of attention. I don't think Drake London has done much of anything. Yeah, Dallas Goedert. And even Godwin, I got a little bit of a question mark. I love Amon-Ra. I love a bounce-back game for Ridley. This is a great matchup, I believe. Josh Jacobs, I believe, is going to have a huge week. So I'm just curious as to who's on his bench besides Drake London.
Yep, Drake London's, like I said, that's the one guy that I'm like, And what do you got there, Joe? And then
I don't know. I look at this lineup a little differently. Like this guy's dying for Josh Jacobs to have a big game. That's what it really needs, right? Like this team needs Josh. It's a good lineup, but if your number one running back isn't performing, so I think you're looking at it saying we got to get a week from Jacobs. Hopefully this is it. You like Ramondre in a PPR. As long as Amon-Ra plays, you're good there. Godwin, I'm a little concerned with because it's been Evans 2 weeks in a row, but against Philly, they're going to have to put up some points. So I kind of like Godwin this week in a PPR. I'm not worried about Goddard yet. Their offense has been weird, but they're winning. And I believe Goddard at some point will have a decent game. No reason why it can't be this week. I don't consider Goddard any weaker than any other tight end in his round. I'm fine with Goddard. And even, Drake London, and I don't like it. I'm not a big Drake London guy. But he had the shutout week 1, obviously, but he went 6 for 67 in a touchdown last week against Green Bay. And now they're on the track in Detroit. I don't really have a big issue with Drake London there. I wouldn't mind knowing who's the runner up after that to start. And so we could make that decision. Yeah. See, no, I'm fine with it. I'm comfortable with London there this week.
I think that I'm good with London in that situation as well, given those 2 options right there. He also says, what sort of trade would he make? Could he go make? They got Kamara on the bench, so we can plug him into the flex if you trade away Drake London and Godwin for an upgrade. Not today, you can't. Just to let you know, you got one more week of Kamara on your bench no matter what because he's suspended. Next best
No,
option.
only 3 I thought for Kamara.
Yep, 3 weeks. So I mean this week counts as week 3, right? So
Right, this is it though.
Yep, this is the last week. So I mean he wouldn't be able to plug him into his flex today.
Right, correct.
Yep, if he traded away Drake in London and Godwin for an upgrade. I feel like if you're going to package those two, you should be able to get one heck of an upgrade there. But yeah, definitely hold on to Kamara. I definitely hold on to Kamara. This is why we drafted him in the 7th, 8th round, is because now we're going to have a running back 1 for the rest of the season.
I'll be completely honest. I did. If it's 11-23, I'll tell you something right now. I would absolutely offer Kamara in either London or Godwin to try to upgrade at running back right now for a guy who's relevant and playing. I have no problem with that. Kamara was disappointing last year, and I don't necessarily. I'm sure he's not going to be horrible, but if you could package Kamara in London or Kamara and Godwin for a legit number 1 running, I mean, not Christian McCaffrey, but
name
whatever.
somebody. Name a guy that you'd be able that you think you could get right there.
Kamara and Godwin for Gibbs and a wide receiver 3. Kamara and Godwin for
like Eddie N or Kenneth Walker, I think would probably be
Kenneth Walker and a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I think that would be
and a wide receiver 3.
I like that idea.
I don't mind DeAndre Swift and a wide receiver there too. I think that I don't know if that's enough of an upgrade for what you're doing, but yeah, you're not going to go get no Christian McCaffreys with that package. But I think you're like maybe in a Saquon Barkley type realm. If you add a piece, if you add like maybe like Samaje Perine or something like that.
But you know what this is, Mike, real quick? And I'd like to know, this is about Kamara. It really, right? Like this is about, so you have Alvin Kamara, who for years in a row was consistently phenomenal fantasy-wise. He catches the ball. He was a focal point of the offense. Drew Brees. Now last couple of years, no Drew Brees. He's been a little more inconsistent. He's had some injury issues. He's had some off-the-field issues. So the question really is, going into week 4, how long before Kamara gets completely unleashed? Because it probably won't be his first game. And you know, I don't trust him to be a number 1 running back based on what we've seen from him the last year and a half. So it's really about your trust level of what Kamara is going to be the rest of the year.
And that's crazy because he just kind of asked a question that lines up with that. He said, where do you value Kamara? Though I do need him since he does have Jacobs and Ramondre, 3 wide receivers have the value. So 3 wide receiver league, the receivers definitely have the value. He thinks he can get a Gibbs trade done, but he'll have 3 running
But
back
then he'd be short at wide out in a league where you need to be deep there.
So you may. I would definitely do something where I could package another secondary receiver on there with a running back upgrade. Now Kamara, my thoughts on him as far as that team has been really not great at quarterback for the last year and a half too. I think a lot of their offense has been fairly stagnant as far as it's done, and they've been getting wins, but they've been getting wins, I think, more based on their defense than they have on their offense. I think Derek Carr adds an explosive element to that offense, and I think that if you look at his history, he really is a guy who likes to target that running back out of the backfield. So I do think Alvin Kamara has a great season, especially playing off the suspension, going out there hopefully with something to prove to his fans that he's at least sorry and good enough that he can get past this and maybe go out there and play some football. That's what I would like to see Kamara do. Will he do it? I really think he has the potential to be able to. And again, in a Carr offense, I think it's anybody's game as far as you know. What do you think there, Jeff?
Yeah, I do like Joe's idea because there are a lot of question marks to get a jump on this ahead of time, just in case his value simply tanks when he comes back, because you do never know. But because his value has gone down a little bit from last year, you don't know what you're going to get from him. He's getting a little bit older. Could you trade him now for like a Keenan Allen straight up, or like a CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, and it might be the trade is for a wide receiver 1, not because you have to start 3 wideouts. You already have Stevenson and Jacobs. Maybe it's Kamara and a wideout, Kamara and Godwin for Keenan Allen and another running back. Or I mean, Kamara and Godwin, that's a pretty good haul that you should get back. Maybe even a little better than Keenan Allen, even though he's been phenomenal these first 2 weeks. But yeah, I agree with that, Jeff, to go out and maybe it's for a wideout, maybe not the running back. I agree.
Yeah, I don't mind that a bit in a 3 wide receiver league for sure. Definitely get the advantage of having the most wide receivers on your team when you got to worry about that kind of a rotation.
I think the point is Kamara's the trade value could be highest right now.
Right.
Yeah. Or you could be missing your value for sure. No,
I think it's a risk. It's interesting
though, right there, because this is the time to do it. This is the time to pull the trigger. So you're gonna have to make a decision on how, in particularly, you feel about Kamara in the long run right here. Like I said, I'm a believer. I think he's gonna be okay rest of the season, but we'll see. We'll have to wait till next week because he did look bad. We got our buddy at Flake Flop says Barrios or Woods PPR. Joe, what do you think?
I think. I love Robert Woods. I love that freaking guy and just what he stands for and how he plays. Doesn't necessarily translate for fantasy wise these days. I think in this one, I'm going to go Barrios this week. I'm going to take the shot without Jalen Waddle. That's like 10 targets to make up. So I'm going to take the shot with Barrios. He's basically slotting in at like the 2.5 with Craycraft behind Tyreek Hill. So I'll try Barrios this week.
I like that a lot, actually, and I love Woods. He actually hasn't been bad for fantasy this year, especially if you're looking at the full PPR. He's been getting it done, but I do like I like the upside of Barrios myself. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, agreed. With Waddle out, somebody's going to be getting some tosses over there. I like the upside today. And who they got? They got Denver at home. Yeah, so I like the Barrios upside on that one for sure.
The Barrios story this week. I mean, I wouldn't, but seeing we're talking about.
It's crazy.
There's a story.
There's a Braxton Berrios story.
Yeah, he was dating the sister that dates Christian McCaffrey. So Christian McCaffrey, his girlfriend, her sister was dating Braxton Berrios, if I understand it correctly. And they were together a while, but she found out that he was having, a little bit of fun on the side via like a locker room conversation that he had that somehow like got back to her through like a Jets private investigator or something ridiculous. Some crazy story came out like that.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, I've always liked that guy. It's crazy that he's got fantasy relevance once again. Jeff, what you got here? Did you already say?
Yeah. I'm going Barrios, and I'll tell you that the gossip I have really no interest in who Barrios is dating, and the fact that a private investigator got involved is fairly amusing to me. But in any case,
I think being a private investigator would be like a really fun job until it wasn't. He says, thanks for the feedback immensely. That's awesome, man. That's what we love to see right there. We're here every single Sunday. Make sure you're over here asking us questions, because you ain't out there asking questions. We're just sitting there talking about football.
And real quick there too, like we don't get a lot of those like, hey, evaluate this full lineup, this full team. And in week 3, that's still a valuable thing to do. So feel free to throw, I don't mind being thrown a whole team at me real quick and say, hey, what do we do here for the rest of the year to get on track? I kind of like that one.
It's a lot of typing, but as long as you can get through it, we're going to go ahead and read it. We're going to help you out as much as we possibly.
Yeah, we will Ron Burgundy that shit.
That is exactly right. So be careful what you write on there, or don't. It's fine.
Or don't.
We got Jay Wundo Bread says, need one. Burks, Bateman, or B. Cooks. Jeff, what do you think?
Out of those 3, I kind of like Bateman. I mean, Baltimore's got a favorable matchup. Right, yeah. So they got a favorable matchup. Who are they against here, sir? Colts. Yeah. So, and Colts passing defense isn't much to write home about. Not that I'm enormous on Bateman, but more so than the other 2 guys. What do you guys think?
Is that Jason Bateman? I haven't seen this Bateman name since last season. As far as you're talking about Rashad Bateman.
It's Justine. It's Justine.
I thought he was doing something else this year, because that was what I've been seeing is Zay Flowers over there ripping up the field like he owns the damn thing, playing football like we thought Bateman could. Bateman to me is an afterthought. Give me Treylon Burks right here. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Treylon Burks here too. I don't trust Cooks behind CeeDee Lamb. They might not have to do a lot this week to win that game. And Bateman, in theory, you should like him. He should be on the field and get the snaps. but I don't know if that translates into targets for him or not. If it's Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers, they might not need much more than that either home against the Colts. So I like Treylon Burks at Cleveland, not necessarily a high-scoring game, but Burks has kind of found him way a nice, cozy little spot there with what he's doing, and he's fantasy relevant right now. So I would go Burks here.
And he's got a really good rapport with Tannehill, I feel like, as well. So I'm with it there. I don't mind. Like I said, I honestly wish, if you looked at my dynasty teams, I really wish the answer for me was Rashad Bateman. I really, truly do. But he's sitting on my benches for a reason. We got @Bick_Remy. He says, which quarterback to fill in if Burrow is out? Wilson, Geno, Stafford, Watson, Howell. Thanks. Joe, what do you know? What do you think?
All right. So not Wilson, right? And not Howell. I think we know that. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. What Wilson?
Let's assume both. Let's say this guy wouldn't be asking for Zach Wilson.
Okay. So Russell. Okay. So wait a minute then. Yeah. All right. So you know what?
God, don't make this guy have to put that in the decision.
So I think here I'm looking at. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Russell Wilson here. I still, even without Nick Chubb, I still think it's a running team in Cleveland. Watson, I'm not there yet with him, and he's not running enough. I wish he was just running more, and I wouldn't give a shit what he did in the passing game because you knew but they're not running him a lot. Russell Wilson, the same reason that I keep on going against Javonte game script. You know, Russell Wilson's probably going to be down a few touchdowns going into the second half. There's going to be some trash second half Russell Wilson points. So I'm going to go Russell Wilson here.
I don't mind that a bit. What do you think here, Jeff?
Oh, of all these, I mean, I'm just not on board with Russell Wilson, period. I like Geno Smith. He had a rough start against the Rams week 1, bounced back last week. They got too many weapons in Seattle at the wide receiver position for Geno not to do well. I get a Walker had a big week last week, but so did Geno Smith, and I think that this it continues. I believe. I think they're home against Carolina. Yeah. So I not that I dislike Stafford or Russell Wilson. But Geno Smith to me is the pick here.
And real quick, Geno would be my runner-up, and I'm thinking about like, man, Walker with those rushing touchdowns. They're playing Carolina. They're not going to need to score a lot, but with those weapons too, I wouldn't be against Geno. I think I still take Russ Wilson because of the game script, but I can be on board with what Jeff's saying.
And Russ Wilson's been quietly having himself a pretty decent quarterbacking season going into this, man. He's been just shake your hand at me. I'll delete you, Jeff. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
cancel culture.
I love Russell Wilson this season. He's been playing a lot better. He's been playing a lot harder. Been playing a lot more accurate. I'm with you too. Geno is like, to me, it's not even, those other three are completely eliminated. It's between Geno and Russell Wilson for me. I think that Seattle doesn't have to do a lot to win. I think the Broncos do. So give me Russell Wilson here because he's going to have to try a whole lot harder to get it done. So real close though. Like, I don't think you can miss out if you do pick Geno Smith. If you go against me and Joe and go with Jeff, which worked out for our man Trans-Siberian last week, then it's probably not going to hurt you too bad to go either way on that one. Let's see here. We got our man Jamie M says he doesn't like any Ravens wide receivers or Ravens running backs. Zay Flowers is the only guy you can trust besides Andrews. And I completely agree with that. I mean, even like J.K. Dobbins and everything like that, I was very excited to see him coming back this season. But I didn't think that he was going to have that consistency. And sure enough, like 10 plays in, he gets injured again. I feel like Cam Akers, unfortunately, is going to be another guy that falls by that same wayside. I just can't get behind it. And again, like Rashad Bateman, I want him to be great. I want him to be able to play at his potential, but it's just not happening. A couple quick updates real fast. Aaron Jones out for today. Amon-Ra St. Brown in for today. So we're good to go as far as both those guys.
Real quick on Baltimore. Through 2 weeks, I think I'm most disappointed fantasy-wise in Lamar Jackson's performance because he hasn't been great either week. But one thing I would say about this week, though, with Justice Hill out too, I mean, Gus Edwards went for 62 yards and a touchdown last week with Hill getting 8 to 10 touches. I do believe that this is a good Gus Edwards week. I think you got a good shot at maybe even 2 rushing touchdowns and getting closer up towards 100 yards with this matchup and the fact that Justice Hill isn't playing either.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that a bit. I'm actually looking up right now really quick just to see what Gus Edwards is on FanDuel, just because, man,
Yeah,
that
he's
should be
still
a
pretty
pretty
cheap,
solid daily play. Man, what the heck just happened there? But yeah, it's looking like he's coming in a little bit cheaper than a few of the rest of these guys right here.
Yeah,
So
he's 6,200.
yeah, 6,200. That's probably a steal for what he's going to be able to do for you today. So if you want to modify any of your lineups out there, get him in there quick. Guys, that pretty much wraps us up for questions right here. Do you guys have anything else to add for this week before we close out this week? 3 Blitz.
One question I did have, and I'll run it by Joe because you and I were talking about earlier, Mike. To me, this is a no-brainer, but the funny thing was just because we just ended with a Baltimore question and questioning their offense, but it was a Zay Flowers question. I said I got a question from a friend who said he was planning on or thinking about starting Jacoby Myers over Zay Flowers. I thought that was a really bad decision. I'm assuming you'll agree, Joe, but I just wanted to run it by you.
Yeah, and I like Jacoby. I like what I've seen from Myers. He had a great week 1 out last week. But no, you got to, especially with no Beckham. I mean, you got to go Zay Flowers, especially if it's a PPR. I got one real quick too. Tyler Lockett, Zay Flowers, Jerome Ford, Christian Kirk, and Cortland Sutton. Bench 2, start 3. So that's Lockett, Flowers, Ford, Kirk, and Sutton.
I'm sitting Ford and Kirk.
Sitting Ford and Kirk. So you're getting Sutton in there because of that game.
Yep.
What are you doing, Jeff?
I'm sitting Kirk and Sutton. I'm going with the first 3.
That's what I have right now is that.
I don't mind Ford. I just think Sutton has a better day.
Yeah. Sutton's been sneaky. He's been decent so far this year.
Yeah, he's been the
Russell Wilson
in Denver.
But you know what, though? I agree with you. I agree with you on Russell Wilson, Mish. But the bottom line is this: when it's 28-13 in the fourth quarter, and Miami's sitting there and prevent defense, Wilson's going to throw for 125 yards and a touchdown or 2 in that quarter, and then it's going to make it look like a good fantasy game. Even though I 100% agree, and I think Miami's going to win that game, and I'm over Russell Wilson at this point. But those trash fourth quarter points when you're down a couple touchdowns, it's a very real thing. I've won so many freaking games on that crap. You're watching a Monday night game at 31-13 because you just need that trash TD and you get it.
That's it. That is it. We got Jamie M says, keep your eyes out for Kenton Mitchell. Once he gets off the IR, he might be in the mix. A guy I like. Dude, now, this guy's after. He keeps on pulling my dynasty heartstrings, man. I love Kenton Mitchell. He's on a lot of my taxi squads right now. Cannot wait for him to get off the IR so we can see what this guy can do in the NFL.
I got one more. Amari Cooper or Tyler Lockett?
Oh, to me, this is a no-brainer. I think it's Tyler Lockett. Not even close.
Wow, I was thinking this is the exact opposite. Amari Cooper has a pretty soft defense today.
Yeah, I don't know what to do on that one.
I was like, oh, yeah, this is easy. It's Amari Cooper all
but
day.
So does Lockett, though. Home against
Lockett's
Carolina.
my guy. Lockett's my guy, dude.
They both do.
I do like Lockett, but I like Cooper in that situation just a little bit more. MPG says pick 3. Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, Tyler Algar, Breece Hall, Jerome Ford.
This is a good one.
Jeff, lead this off. Who are you sitting?
So I'm sitting Algier just because Bijan Robinson. I know Algier had a great week 1 that seems to be an anomaly right now. And then Breece Hall with what's going on with the Jets offense. I hate to say not start him over a guy like Jerome Ford, but I think Ford will have more opportunities. So I'm going Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, and Jerome Ford.
I completely agree 100%. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. And I hope like 4 weeks from now, you gotta assume Breece Hall gets in there. But right now, this week, these matchups, I think you got to go Williams, Swift, and Ford.
Yeah, I like Algier. He definitely deserves a lot of playing time because, man, that guy has like a pretty legendary yards per carry throughout his career. I mean, the guy's busting like a 5.6 or I think it was 5.4 last I looked. So, I mean, he should get the attention. But, man, Bijan Robinson is so good that he's benching this guy, and rightfully so. I mean, you're talking about a good tandem that's running in the – but when you've got Bijan Robinson out running him there, and then, Breece Hall, man, it sucks. I want to get him in all my lineups as quickly as I can. It's just unfortunately the Jets don't feel that way, and they're really nursing him in. I gotta see it. I gotta see it in week 1, and week 2 really terrified me for Breece Hall for the next few weeks. So definitely like that. Definitely like that. Do we have anything else, guys? And we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here.
What do you think of
We're
AJ
good.
Dillon? Where would you put, right? Like we were talking about good cheap running back plays, Kelly, Ford, these guys. So now that we know that AJ Dillon's in that group, how do you feel about Dillon?
Bro, I'll start with this one, Mike. Don't get me started on AJ Dillon again. You know where I stand with AJ Dillon. He sucks. I said it last week. He sucks. Sit this guy. He sucks.
I think Jeff is on the fence about starting him today, but I can tell you I am not. I really just I like AJ Dillon. I wish he could take over that backfield. It just doesn't seem like the opportunities are there for those guys. If you're not Aaron Jones, I'm not playing you out of that backfield.
Right.
You feel the same way, Joe?
It's just a weird thing because Dillon comes on as a rookie, and even with Aaron Jones playing, leaves his mark, becomes relevant fantasy-wise. But then it's like, it feels like every single time he's gotten the opportunity to start with Aaron Jones out, he's done nothing. And now this year, he hasn't done much of anything at all so far, whether Jones has been playing or not. So it's a real weird thing. It's just like, how many months ago was it where there was a lot of momentum for AJ Dillon, and now it's just turned completely?
Right. Jamie M also says, JSN, when do you think he'll hit? Everyone was all over him and over Addison. I drafted Addison a lot where I could too, but I did also get a couple shares of JSN just because, man, that guy in college was special. If he can apply that to the National Football
Is he talking
League,
about the Seattle guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. He just hasn't developed yet. I think he's a little bit slower. Addison is in, I think, a bit of a bigger opportunity. I mean, you got to figure when you've got JSN out there, you also have DK Metcalf, you also have Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
I
think Addison's already kind of taken over the number 2 from Osborne, where JSN's going to be the number 3 all year, no matter what.
Yep, until they get rid of DK or until they get rid of Lockett, that's going to be the situation for him over there. And so it sucks because JSN, I think, is better talent-wise. I think Addison definitely has a lot of more opportunity here. For sure.
Agreed.
And then he also says Dillon was a bust last week. Yeah, 3 thumbs down. It was terrible, man. It was just bad. He should be great. This should be an easy smash accept, smash play, smash start, get him in there.
Like, to be more excited for Gus Edwards over AJ, it's just a weird thing, but it is. It's where you.
And oddly enough, you'll save yourself $100 on FanDuel if you make the Gus Edwards play over AJ Dillon,
which is bizarro too.
He should be good, but he sucks. He sucks.
He
AJ
cannot
Dillon
put
isn't
it
walking
together.
through that door.
He cannot put it together. Yeah, we're gonna let Jeff calm down, guys. We're gonna go ahead and end. We're gonna take off. Everybody, have yourself an awesome, excellent Sunday. Jeff's gonna go. He's getting ready to go hop into an ice bath, or else he's gonna boil over, guys. And thank you so much for joining us again. We'll be here next week. We'll be here next Saturday with our DFS picks. Saturday night, 9:00, 9:15-ish, somewhere in there. And we're back every Sunday morning, 10:30, 10:45 is somewhere in there. And we'll be here, guys, every single week. Thank you so much.
Week 3, good luck.
Yep, good luck, and let's win it today, guys.